Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Living Interfaith Sanctuary. Before we begin, I just want to acknowledge that I'm currently seated on the land of the Coast Salish peoples, including the Musqueam, Tsleil-Waututh, and Squamish nations. I know that many of you are on the land of other nations, so if you would like, please feel free to write those nations' names in the chats. And as always, let us remember our connection to our siblings in these nations, and let's work and pray for the day in which we might be together in right relationship. So welcome. Welcome to the Living Interfaith Sanctuary. Know that the whole of you is welcome. You are not asked to leave who you are in your own home. Please bring who you are into this community with you today. What we're asked to remember is that others here today have brought who they are as well into the community, but all of goodwill are welcome. So now let's join together for our opening song.
Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of living. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come.
Thank you, Bruce. Thank you. Well, this morning, we're going to begin with some announcements. I'd like to first tell us about the Interfaith Symposium on Kindness and Kinship that is happening in White Rock at the Star of Sea Community Center on November 17th, 2025. So it's coming up next weekend in the next few days. I'm going to go ahead and put a link in the chat here. Welcome to check it out and some information. And if anybody's interested in registering, we can have a variety of speakers and reflections on the themes of kindness and kinship. Second announcement today is that the Metro Vancouver Alliance is holding Foundations of Community Organizing training coming up November 21st and 22nd at St. Thomas More Collegiate in Burnaby. This event is free to community members, and we are a participating member of the Vancouver Alliance, so you're all community members of the Vancouver Alliance, Metro Vancouver Alliance. This two-day training introduces the foundational leadership practices and principles of community organizing, a proven method for building power and creating social change. So participants will gain practical skills and insights to becoming effective community leaders and understand the essentials of broad-based community organizing. Here is a link. I'm going to put it in the chat as well to sign up. All these links as well are in our newsletter as always. So feel free to grab them there if you don't happen to grab them off of the chat as well. So, and thirdly, there's an event coming up called Gathering Our Journeys Across Borders. I don't know, Rachel, if you wanted to speak to that, otherwise I can just continue.
Sure. So the Restorative Collective Vancouver is starting to hold some dialogue circles at the Hastings Sunrise Library. So that one is going to be about for people sharing their immigration stories with one another and how they've impacted them and other folks. And yeah, it's a way for people to share their experiences with one another. So that one will be on November. I don't have the date in front of me. Do you have it? 20?
Yep.
Yeah. So. And then we'll be doing a holiday grief circle on December 13th. And so, yeah, Doralee can drop a link in the chat if you want to register. And we'll see you there.
That's wonderful. And as always, I want to mention that Rachel and I are hosting on the second and fourth Saturdays of the month our Circle of Sanctuary contemplation, discussion, and community building time. The next one will be next week on November 22nd. They're at 10 a.m., the same as our service times. And you can just join via our link that's on our website, also in the newsletter. So, are there any other announcements this morning? Anybody would like to share things happening in our community?
Yes, I have an announcement. This coming Tuesday, in the evening at 7 p.m. at the Center for Peace, we're going to show the film Las Madres, the Mothers of Plaza de Mayo. So the moms who advocated and petitioned the government when their children were disappeared in the 70s and 80s. So we're showing that film in conjunction with Women Wage Peace, and there'll be a talk afterwards. So if folks want to come, that's at 7 o'clock this Tuesday at the Center for Peace in Kitsilano.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kathy. Anyone else? Any other announcements you'd like to share? All right, if not, we'll start to move into prayer for the morning. This is a prayer of the words of the Guru Tegh Bahadur as recorded in the Guru Granth Sahib. Join me together in these reflections. Why go to search forests to find him? He who dwells in all hearts, but remains ever pure, pervades thy heart also. Just as fragrance fills the rose and reflection the mirror, the Lord pervades all without a break. Search him inside thee. The Guru hath revealed this knowledge that the Aum pervades inside and outside. Said Nanak, without knowing thyself, the scum of doubt will not be removed. I'll turn it over to Rachel for candle lighting prayer.
So for a candle lighting prayer this morning, this is a portion from the Ardas, a Sikh entreaty to God. May the cause of truth and justice prevail everywhere at all times. Utter O Khalsa Waheguru. May the minds of Sikhs remain humble and their wisdom exalted. Waheguru. You are the protector of wisdom, Almighty Lord, our helper and protector ever. Restore to us the right and privilege of unhindered and free service and access to Nankana Sahib and other centers of Sikh religion from which we have been separated. God, the helper of the helpless, the strength of the weak, the supporter of the fallen, the true Father of all. Forgive us, O Lord, all our faults. Extend your helping hand to everyone. Grant us the company of those who may help keep your name fresh in our hearts. Through Satguru Nanak, may your name be exalted, and may all of mankind prosper according to your will. The Khalsa belongs to God, and to him belongs the victory.
Thank you, Rachel. Now, I'd like to invite everyone to unmute themselves and just to greet one another with a sign of peace. Good morning, peace, Salawapa. It's good to have you all with us today.
Peace, everyone.
Peace be with you.
Assalamu alaikum. Sri Akal.
Peace be with you.
Thank you, friends. Peace to all. Now I'll turn it over to Bruce for a morning song. We can all mute ourselves. Thank you.
Vaheguru, 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 Vaheguru,
Thank you, Bruce. Now I'd like to invite you to join me in reflecting together our joint affirmation. You can go ahead and say it along together if you feel called to do so. We come together in peace. We sing together in joy and with love. We worship together in one house, a house with names beyond number. Our paths are many, our beliefs are as leaves, and the tree that we cleave to is nourished by the light of compassion, justice, and mutual respect. May our lives, our beliefs, and our actions help to bring about the world of love we all seek, and let it begin here. Thank you. Now is the time we're going to take a few moments to have a brief, I've got just do a guided grounding with all of us, and then invite us to just settle into prayer for a couple of moments. So if I want to just begin by having you settle your body in whatever space that you're sitting into, allowing just kind of a heaviness and weight take over anything that might have been feeling in an active state. Just allow it to get a little bit heavier, a little bit looser as we move into this moment of meditation, allowing your eyes to close, your gaze to lower if you haven't done so already. As we just center our body in this physical moment, in this space together, and invite you to draw your next inhale in with a fullness of opening up your chest, really breathing into your shoulders and your throat, holding it when you get to the top for a moment, and then releasing slow and steady. So do it a couple more times and drawing your breath inward, opening up, feeling your shoulders even sliding open as you take that big inhale, holding it at the top and easing out the breath as we settle in a little deeper. One more time, deep breath in, holding it when you reach the top for just a moment, then easing out. And just now allow yourself to settle into whatever breath feels natural, or perhaps you want to keep holding those big breaths rolling through you with intention. However that breath comes now, just want to invite you to settle a little more. Know that we're holding one another in the space of community. Together our hearts and our minds are lighting up this web that we're forming between us. As we share this space and time this morning to learn, to care, to grow together. As we open our hearts to the presence of the moment, no doubt each of us carries concerns and worries of the world around us. Perhaps we're carrying things in our personal life, or as we gaze out into the world and know that the impact of how others suffer, it also affects us. Whatever it is you may be carrying this morning, I want to invite us just to take a couple minutes just to settle into prayer, opening our hearts to Creator, to the great wisdom, to the God in the heavens, whichever it is that you may turn your language and your words towards. Let's just take a few moments to pray in our own way, in our own hearts, to the things that we feel called to. May it be so. May it be so. Whatever calling or prayer you had this morning. Amen. Now we're going to join together in another song. Turn it over to Bruce. Thank you.
Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib Dhan Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib, 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 Dhan Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib.
Thank you, Bruce. Thank you very much. Well, this is the time where if we were in person, we might pass around a little basket and invite a sharing of wealth. Just knowing that many of you contribute, and we're very grateful for that to help keep our organization, our time together going. All our donations go towards the little bit of money that we need each year towards their speakers, or it's our managing director, musicians, leadership, our marketing team. We have very little overhead, to be honest, otherwise. So just want to thank everyone for generous donations. If anyone feels called to donate this morning, I'm going to go ahead and just put that in the chat. And I'll turn it over to Bruce to now share another song with us.
From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live.
Thank you, Bruce. Now it's my joy and my honor to welcome Jessie Lehail this morning here with us today. Jessie is here to share with us about the martyrdom of Sri Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib Ji. Jessie is an award-winning global changemaker and visionary CEO of the Kaur Collective Foundation. She amplifies Sikh women voices and leads change at the front line of health equity and the movement against gender-based violence. Jessie's work includes pioneering research on Punjabi women's health, guiding vital services for survivors of violence, and driving systemic reform in some of Canada's largest health institutions. With over 15 years of experience, she's recognized for unflinching advocacy, creative brilliance, and her commitment to amplifying stories that break cycles of silence and spark real change for those facing injustice. Jessie, Kathy shared me just briefly a little bit about your background, and I was very excited for you to be here today and share with us about the guru, but also just who you are as a human. So welcome, and I turn it over to you to lead us in today's learning.
Thank you so much. Thank you for this beautiful opportunity. Just already really grateful for joining you all this morning. I also wanted to extend a special thank you to Kathy. She's a lovely angel in my life who really nudges me to share my take on Sikhi through a intersectional feminist lens. I'm a little emotional today, and I'm not really sure why. It's maybe hearing all the stories of people sharing this morning. My heart is with all of you, and really grateful to be part of this community. So really, I wanted to take the legacy of Guru Tegh Bahadur, the 350th anniversary. Let me collect myself here for a second, and really directly kind of plant the seeds of why this message is so important for today in our current polycrises that we are collectively experiencing, and also really weave the threads of women's empowerment, health, and just overall how we as individuals really need to come together to navigate today's world. So as you all know, and I really loved the music and setting the stage of Guru Tegh Bahadur. It was 350 years ago in 1675, a moment of extraordinary moral clarity took place, one that continues to resonate far beyond boundaries of faith, geography, or time. Guru Tegh Bahadur is the ninth Sikh Guru, was approached by Kashmiri Pandits, so Hindu Pandits who are very well educated, whose entire existence was being threatened by forced conversion under Mughal imperial decree. So despite not being of their faith, and without hesitation, he defended their right to practice their beliefs, a stand so radical at the time that it cost him his freedom, subjected him to imprisonment, torture, and finally public beheading at Delhi's Chandni Chowk. It also sent a catapult of events, a very dark period for the Sikh faith and community, where many were tortured and imprisoned, and in various ugly ways were killed. And it is now, from now until the end of year, that is a very dark time for the Sikh community. His sacrifice sent a wave across India and really the world as people watched, both as a warning and as an enduring beacon that the defense of human dignity really transcends all boundaries. And this act was not only a defense of religious liberty, it was a profound declaration that dignity and freedom cannot be safeguarded for some while denied to others. It was a moment when conscious challenged brute force, and when solidarity broke through the boundaries prescribed by power, and when silence was transformed into a collective voice. But history does not exist in isolation, and the forces Guru Tegh Bahadur confronted of inclusion, coercion, the silencing of the vulnerable have never really vanished. In fact, many of those same patterns have really resurfaced with new vigor and global reach, and really grateful for communities like yours that really are extending a hand to anyone and really highlighting the importance of interfaith communities at this very hard time. Today, across continents, we see a coordinated backlash against women, girls, gender minorities, and systemic exclusion intensified by law, culture, and campaigns to really roll back hard-won rights. And international agencies warn that activists challenging the status quo, survivors speaking out, and those daring to imagine change face heightened risks. Women and girls' freedoms are sharply restricted under new laws, not just in Afghanistan, but in Iran, sadly in parts of the US, and other regions like Bolivia, Uruguay, South Korea, Georgia have enacted repressive measures that undermine safety and dignity. Anti-LGBTQ+ and anti-feminist rhetoric and policy continue to spread across Europe, Africa, and North America, entwined with a rise in political polarization and authoritarianism. In Ukraine, Sudan, Nagorno-Karabakh, and more, wars bring with it gendered violence and the forced displacement of millions. Digital spaces that were a beacon of hope at once and promised freedom have really become new frontiers of harassment and abuse. And on every continent, othering, exclusion, and the weaponing of shame continue, fueled by economic insecurity, rapid social change, and the manipulation of family, faith, and tradition are central now. It is a dark time. And movements for justice, feminist, anti-racist, pro-democracy are meeting resistance, not just from autocrats and extremists, but from the silent complicity that allows harm to go unchallenged. And the cost of that silence, especially for those who live at the intersections of race, gender, migration, poverty, and disability remains excruciatingly high. Against this global turbulent background, Guru Tegh Bahadur's legacy calls us on us to ask, who do we protect and who is left exposed, and who is believed and who remains invisible? And what must our solidarity look like when justice is besieged, when pain multiplies in silence, and when progress depends on our willingness to risk comfort, challenge power, and center those whose stories too often remain unheard? It is these questions for many, many years that have really shaped my own journey. And as CEO of the Kaur Collective Foundation, they continue to take shape. Every day I'm learning new things, and I'm really trying to build systems and programs and structures that really are agile and take into account current world events and things that really need support in our current lives here in Canada, but also globally. Really, my mission is simple, though never easy, I have to say, is to really amplify Sikh women's voices and turn equity from an aspiration into a lived daily reality. And the legacy of Guru Tegh Bahadur, for me, is not abstract, and really, I hope it's not for any of us. We carry it forward when we name injustice and when we intervene, when we choose not to look away. At Kaur Collective, we're currently working to challenge historical, cultural erasure in every sector: healthcare, education, food, intergenerational identity, and really just overall with faith and language. Our flagship new framework, the Bridging Language and Health, a gender-sensitive translation framework for Punjabi women's health education, was really born from listening to stories of women like my mom, my aunts, my sisters, who even in modern Canada found themselves misdiagnosed or dismissed, sometimes unable to communicate pain, sometimes silenced by stigma or system failures, and really not even understanding what's written in consent forms, which is really a legal concern in the health space. We are refusing to accept this as an inevitable, and together with community partners, education systems, and really courageous women, we're building a new framework that lets Punjabi women name their experience, access care in their mother tongue, and act as a decision maker in their own health journeys. It's really about empowerment, women knowing their bodies so that they can really lead their life in a very healthy way. To really put a face to this, in one of my focus groups over the summer, a woman in her 60s who has been long overlooked by clinicians shared her story of finally getting screened for cancer after years of confusion, cultural hesitation, shame, perhaps even some racism within the system. Her courage was not just about a medical advocacy. It was really about reclaiming ownership of her own narrative and really setting the bar for teaching her children, namely her daughter-in-law, and granddaughters, that speaking up is strength and not shame, and that really having empowerment over one's body is really a gateway for women to be healthy, but families to be healthy, and communities overall to be healthy. In Kaur Collective's research collaboration, such as my work with Dr. Lisa Dawson from UBC, we really are focusing on how inherited trauma, stigma, and language shape decisions around genetics, cancer, and bodily autonomy in South Asian communities, not just Punjabi communities, but overall really making sure that the entire South Asian community is really focused on. Each data point is an act of reclamation, a step toward care systems that recognize and include all our stories. And too often, the voices of all women, but especially Indigenous and racialized women, have been sidelined in research. I just was at Femtech a few days ago, and it wasn't really until 1999 that women's health research was ever done. And that's a shocking stat. And really, it was for European women's bodies. And it's not until the last few years where racialized women are actually being included in research. So at Kaur Collective, we're really putting women at the center. And from a health equity perspective, this is really urgent and is really only one front of all the work that we're doing. On the front lines of gender-based violence, which is really truly, I believe, an epidemic in BC, and I'm part of a coalition that's really trying to get the Premier and the current government to really name and state that gender-based violence is an epidemic. My work as the Vancouver chapter director for Shelter Movers is its own call to action. Last Wednesday, we were able to do our 1,500th move, which was an amazing stat to share, particularly with fund development, but really shows how many cases that we are supporting, and also is a sad reality of all the cases that we still have not supported because gender-based violence is underreported and under-discussed. When a woman or a child needs to escape violence, there's really no time for bureaucracy, in my opinion, or stigma. Shelter Movers is very unique in that we exist because too many systems still expect survivors to overcome logistical and financial barriers alone. Our work is very practical, and we move survivors literally to safety quickly, confidentially, and without costs. This work means trusting each woman's story. They are at the center of our work. And this work means trusting each woman's story, which is a big change to how the current system works, believing her experience and collaborating with a network of social workers, social agencies, legal advocates, police, and volunteers. There are stories I will never forget. There's Jill, that is not the woman's name, who fled her home with her two children, uncertain of her next steps, but determined to survive. For her, our services were not just about housing or safety plans. They were about hope, about believing that her life could be rewritten because a community had her back. whew, time and again, we've seen that when systems and people show up with practical support, survivors reclaim power and dignity. It is not logistics, it is justice in motion. Again, a few months ago, we were supporting a woman named Kay, again, not her real name, who had endured years of isolation and fear in her home, cut off from her community and unsure if she'd ever be able to choose safety over survival. On the day she decided to leave, there was snow on the ground and silence in her street. Shelter movers arrived quietly, greeted her with warmth and affirmation, and carefully helped her gather not just her belongings, but the pieces of her life and dreams she thought she lost. You're not alone, there's a future, and you are already living it. For the first time in a long time, Kay told us she felt seen, heard, and able to imagine something beyond her fear. I'm so sorry. Today, she's thriving, pursuing new education, helping neighbors, and most beautifully of all, volunteering in her free time to support other survivors taking their first brave steps toward freedom. Ooh. This is what collective courage looks like. The ripple that begins with one act of solidarity grows into a web of hope powerful enough to break generational cycles of silence and violence. No system can change alone, and no individual's advocacy is enough. True change must be intersectional because oppression is always intersectional. Indigenous, women of color, recent immigrants, disabled people, LGBTQ+ communities all face additional risks and carry multiplied burdens. At Kaur Collective, we refuse to work in silos. Justice for women is bound up with language access, food security, creative space, and community healing. And while I'm tearful and passionate and all about this beautiful work, it is also hard. And for me, creative work is central to my own healing. And art, in my case, contemporary abstract painting, like the one behind me, offers a language for stories that defy simple translation. Art can be a refuge, testimony, provocation. And for me, art is a way to share stories on canvas, canvas and stage, releasing years of silence and building solidarity rooted in self-expression. Well, that sounded good. This act of creation itself is a form of resistance, a way to transmute pain into presence and really to alchemize what I witness to something more beautiful and to make the invisible visible. The collective toll of injustice can seem overwhelming, and the news is filled with headlines about new restrictions, violence, rollbacks of rights, and successive waves of trauma. Overall, I don't know about the rest of you, but it is exhausting watching the news and keeping up with the headlines, but still very important for all of us. Yet, as Guru Tegh Bahadur's stand teaches, the most improbable courage often emerges in periods of greatest adversity. The dark and the light both must be present for us to live this human experience. And periods of backlash and re-entrenchment are holding the seeds for coalition, strategy, and lasting transformation. And spaces like this are becoming more and more important. Here I want to pause and invite you to consider who in your life, your workplace, your circle, faith circle must still weigh survival against belonging, and whose story never makes it into policy reports, board agendas, or public discourse. When have you seen silence accepted as the price of comfort at the expense of justice? And I'll just pause for a quick 10 seconds while I blow my nose so you can all reflect on that. I challenge all of us, myself included, to recommit daily, to not leave the work of safety or equity to someone else, and to intervene when a joke or a remark diminishes others, to advocate for reform in education, healthcare, and social services, and to ask with humility, where have I missed a story, ignored a barrier, chosen comfort over courage. We plant seeds with every act of attention, every risk taken on behalf of the marginalized, every time we turn collective outrage into organized support, and the partnerships between Kaur Collective Foundation, the research institutions and research allies, art communities and shelter movers, for me, are reminders that tradition is not just to be remembered, it is to be renewed in the service of those who still seek justice. And as the 350th anniversary of Guru Tegh Bahadur's martyrdom unfolds and is really celebrated, let us do more than mark time. Let it be a beginning, a renewed commitment to collective resistance, to rewriting the narrative, to ensuring justice does not depend on luck or privilege. And let us leave behind not only stories of pain, but systems transformed, policies reimagined, and communities where every woman and survivor can recognize her own agency and hope. And the future will judge us not for our intentions or commemorations, but for what we dare to risk and build and make possible. And I hope we can all draw on the deep well of courage and brought strangers together centuries ago and keep writing the next chapters of solidarity, justice, fierce, and creative hope. Thank you all for this beautiful opportunity. It's been lovely to share my thoughts and lived experiences.
Thank you so much, Jessie. Thank you for opening up to us this deeply tender and deeply rich work that you do, and tying it to the message of liberation and healing and solidarity from the Guru as we reflect on his martyrdom as well. Thank you very much for sharing today. We're going to have one more song from Bruce. I'm going to close with the final prayer. And then Jessie, are you able to stay for a little bit beyond our meeting? Okay, wonderful. And if anybody has questions or reflections they'd like to also share in. So thank you so much. I'll turn it over to Bruce now.
Tegh Bahadur Sahib, God renowned the Avedai, some time, Holy Sahib. Tegh Bahadur Sahib, Tegh Bahadur Sahib, Tegh Bahadur Sahib, Tegh Bahadur Sahib. Hare Krishna diya, Sri Hare Krishna diya, jisu litte sab dukh jai, litte sab dukh jai. Tegh Bahadur Sahib, Tegh Bahadur Sahib, Garino Nitya Vedhai, Sabatai, Holy Sai. Tegh Bahadur Sahib, Tegh Bahadur Sahib, Sri Hare Krishna diya, Sri Hare Krishna diya, jis ditte sab dukh jai, ditte sab dukh jai. Tegh Bahadur Sahib.
Thank you, Bruce. And just closing prayer together, may we all turn our hearts to the great mystery, to the Holy Wise One. May the remembrance and the legacy of Guru Tegh Bahadur and the sharing today from Jessie enliven our hearts and remind us of our work as humans to reach through the veils of suffering, the lies of oppression that keep us separated from one another. May we find our voice and our feet to continue to walk in solidarity with those who suffer. May we find those small ways and big ways that we may contribute. And may we question the places that we sit in comfort at the expense of the suffering of others. Let us open our hearts to this deep and true message, and each question it in our own ways as we move forward into the day, into the week, the month, the year, and carry this story and the many stories that ask us to reflect on who we are and what is our role in humanity. May we be blessed, may we care for one another in a good way, and go forth from today feeling uplifted and enlivened. May it be so. Thank you, friends.